Hey everybody, what is up? This is Devin LaVore coming at ya solo. What I would like to do today in this video is I would like to take you guys through something that I believe is basically like the formula for relationship with God. And it will let you know how to be successful. It'll let you know potential failure points and pitfalls. This goes for anybody and everybody who wants to have a relationship with God. I hope the Lord puts this video in front of you so you can see how to do it, how it works, the reality of how it works. And for me, I see it as like a musical scale, you know? A musical scale has 7 notes in it. The 8th note is the same as the first, it's called the octave. So that's important as we go through this, because really you have like 8 notes. You really have 7 notes in your relationship with your musical. Your life is a musical with the Lord. And your first note starts off with a moment. It's that moment that you come to know the Lord. It's that moment that you know God is real and I want to pursue him and I just want to know him. And then that actually becomes step number 2 is pursuit. So you begin pursuing, you begin going after the Lord. And then in step 3, in note number 3 on the scale, you have what I call moments. They're encounters, revelations. You're seeing signs and wonders and amazing things, and the Lord is opening up the scriptures to you, and you're just seeing all this stuff that you've never seen before, that maybe you've heard about it a lot, but for some reason, because you are now born again, you're connected with the Lord, and your heart's going after him, you are just gathering so much cool stuff from the Lord, right? And then, I mean, life just seems to be like awesome and untouchable, right? And then the 4th note comes in, and that 4th note is called trouble. It's trouble of all kind. You have trouble that are you start encountering with the Lord. Things maybe not going the way you thought they would go, or something like that. And it is in that moment right there, you can either decide to be done and go a different direction, or you can keep on going. And if you decide to keep on going, the next note you're going to run into is called difficulty. Well, wait a second. I thought we just came out of trouble. Now we're going into difficulty? You sure are. Because trouble is different than difficulty, in a sense that trouble is just stuff that happens to you, or stuff you get into. You find yourself in this position where maybe they want to fire you at work, or people are, I don't know. There's so many different kinds of trouble, but it's like something that just kind of happens to you, or things that like you're praying for God to deliver you from, and it's like he doesn't. He keeps you in the situation. And now you have to decide, okay, are you going to keep going? Okay, cool. Now you've entered the difficulty realm. Well, in the difficulty realm, your endurance and your perseverance is being built, okay? And your sense of constant prayer is being built. Because maybe before, all you had to do was pray, and boom, here's the answer. You pray, and here's the miracle. You pray, and here's the sign and wonder. And you know what I mean? And a lot of times God does that at the beginning to show you it's real. And it's like, so when the trouble and the difficulty come, you will remember he is faithful and true, and he will get you through whatever you're going through, okay? And maybe in the difficulty section, it doesn't feel the way it felt. I mean, it just doesn't feel the way, and it's like sometimes the difficulty is you get almost on E with emotion and feeling and sensation, and it's just like, Marriages go through that. A lot of friendships go through that. A lot of relationships will go through this cycle, not just with you and the Lord. It'll just go through this cycle, because I believe in that trouble and difficulty, it's testing the DNA of your heart. Do you really, really want to keep going? But and again, in that moment, you can either decide to quit and go any direction you want, go back to your old associations or whatever you want to do, or you can keep on going, right? Now, if you keep on going, what's going to happen is you're going to get to what I call the sixth note, which is the break point. It's like you are so past difficulty, it's do or die. You about to break down. It's like, God, either you're going to come through or not. I am so spent. I'm so done. And also, this process can be a short-lived process. It can be a really fast scale that you go through all these steps, or it can be a really long, drawn-out one that can take like 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, 15 years. You can be in the difficulty stage for 5 years, and it can be very difficult. But if you keep going, you will not go through any of these things without a joy that's set before you. You will not go through any of these things without the Holy Spirit reminding you of who He is and who the Father is and why you're continuing to go after God in His heart. And so at that break point, you can either quit or you can keep going. Now, if you quit on any of those levels, well, we already know what's going to happen. You're going to go back to what you're used to and what you're comfortable with. There's no story there. There's no yay or woohoo or awesome there, right? But if you keep going, you are going to get to this point, which the seventh note, which I call major. I call it the major note, okay? Because there's some major heart change that you begin to harvest the fruit of. You begin to see the change of. I remember I used to work out. I used to be a workout junkie. I loved it. I just put my whole heart into it for 10 years, and I was so passionate about it and all that. And a lot of times people, when they're trying to do a body transformation, the first 4 or 5 weeks, you don't really see much happening. It's all underground, and it can be very discouraging. You go through all these different steps during something like that. And you're excited at first, but then you hit trouble, and the trouble is like, man, I'm not seeing anything. And the difficulty is like, man, I'm still not seeing anything. And things don't feel the same. I feel like I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do, and I don't see anything happen. I'm really discouraging. And then you get to the break point where you're crying and you're boo-hooing because it's like, this is like week 5, and I'm really not seeing anything different. That's like almost 5 full weeks of me doing this workout program. I think it's a joke. I don't think it's real. Well, all those other before and after pictures can't be lying. You know what I'm saying? It's like they must have done something right. So why don't we just keep going and take it to the end, and then we will make a judgment, right? Take it to the end, then make a judgment. Okay? And they're like, well, that's fine. And then come the 6th week, it never fails because it's science, it's biology. Come the 6th week, man, you start seeing results. And then from that point on, you start seeing dramatic changes, significant changes, I will say, every single week after that, up to the 12th week. So the first half was a struggle. The last half was just a glory road, And that happens in our relationship with the Lord too. He takes us through an exciting honeymoon time, but then we enter the trouble and difficulty time. Then we get to a breaking point time. And then if we keep going, we will get to this major time. And it's a major heart change. Major revelation. You're not just putting this together and this together. You're seeing this big overarching picture, of who God is and how good He is. So good that it makes you just break down and cry and just worship and praise and thanksgiving for hours because you have a revelation of how much He has been there for you, how much He did for you, how much He has been in your situation, in your life right now, in the moment. and how much he's just been working a blueprint and a bigger plan. You can't be on baby formula forever. Sometimes you got to go to solid food. Eventually you got to go there, right? And he's preparing you the whole way. And he's during those times when you thought he wasn't there, he was there, and you see all that. Major revelation. You get to experience major life change. You get to see amazing things. And then when you get to that point, that you go from break point to breakthrough point, it's like this major change of your life, it's major change of your heart. And then that creates what I call the eighth note, which is the same as the first note. But the eighth note, I'm going to say it's momentum. So you started out with a moment, but then the moment became momentum. There was an on your moment. God did something so amazing. You just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? And so again, now you're right back at the very beginning, where your moment has now become momentum, and you're back to pursuing God again. You're back to feeling the Lord again. You're back to going through just, seeing major awesome moments and revelation and encounters with the Lord again. But then also the trouble and the difficulty will come in again, and it will feel different this time. It won't feel like the last trouble and difficulty, but it'll still be trouble, it'll still be difficulty, and you'll still get to a break point. But now maybe you can go through that and it'll still feel the way it's supposed to feel, but you'll know, I've got a testimony. God's taken me through this already. I know what happens at the end. There's a joy that's set before me, and I am going to get it. And then you start looking at people like Joseph, who waited 13 years. David, who waited 14 years. Abraham, who waited 25 years. You start going through these kind of things. You look at Esther's life. You look at Ruth's life. Her life started off with trouble and difficulty. But that was the moment that she was like, I'm following you. And from that point on, it was just a story of restoration. And she experienced some trouble and difficulty. And some, you look at Hannah's life. Every person in the Bible, they're going through this cycle. So it's like, we're going to go through it as well. But what is the encouragement? What's the hope? What's the good news? Is that if you go through it and you get through it and you get to the end, there is a major awesome things in store for you. And you will come out greater, bigger, stronger, more mature, more powerful, more intimate with the Lord. You'll just be better. You'll be better. And you'll look back on it and go, I wouldn't change a thing, And so, let the Lord play the scale, because when you do scales, sometimes it's not like this. Sometimes it doesn't follow that, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do pattern. Sometimes the Lord mixes things up. I gave a friend of ours a prophetic word from the Lord once a while ago, and I was like, you know what? I feel like your life is like a piano, and you got to just let the Lord play it the way He wants to play it. Because He's working a plan in your life, and let Him do the notes and play the notes and the chords and the single runs and lines that He wants to do, And so it's the same for all of us. We got to let the Lord do what He wants to do. We got to endure. We got to persevere. Our life is not marked by endurance and perseverance. It's just an element. It's a tool. It's a tool in the messianic tool belt of Jesus. There's way more tools there. There's joy. There's peace. There's, confidence. There's humility. There's love. And there's faith and hope. And there's all these things, fruit of the Spirit. There's all of this that makes up life with the Lord. But perseverance and endurance are part of it. Sure. But it's like, man, when the Lord starts doing and playing the song of your life and what He has, and he's singing the lyrics of His heart over your life, man, you want to hear that song and you want to be a part of it. Okay, so I hope that this has blessed you guys, and until next time, I'll see you later.